Alright, welcome back everybody. My name is Triumph Man and I will be casting this Synergy League match. This is Zephyr Dota up against Can't Say Whips. Now, tonight, unfortunately, Cyclops will not be joining you because, well, Barack Obama, he heard Cyclops was talking shit and he sent SEAL Team 6 to take him out, so I'll be filling in for Cyclops for this weekend and possibly the start of next week, and he'll be back again taking up a few matches for Synergy League then, but we'll kick this game off with a Terrorblade ban from Zephyr Dota, followed up, well actually, preceded by a Death Prophet ban from Can't Say Whips. Now, I just want to go through a couple of stats here. Zephyr Dota on a real bit of a slump here. Not had a great time. They've only won 1 out of the last 10 games. 1 out of 10. That's not too hot. And it was a Juggernaut they used against a Death Prophet Omni Knight combo. Interesting they managed to pull that one off there, but we've got the Razor ban also picked out there by Can't Say Whips, followed up by Zephyr knocking off you know what, Scarth Mage, he's pretty damn popular these days. He's incredibly powerful with the burst damage that's really going around. A lot of teams focusing on burst damage, seeing stuff like Puck, picking up the Dagons. It's really, really nice stuff. Ancient Seal is absolutely a ballbuster of a spell. It is insane the amount of damage it will increase when teams focus fire together like that. Now, I don't really have a lot of data on Can't Say Whips here. Of course, they are the Australian team. We've got Godot and Risk, a few players. Some of the Australian players will know. And they're also joined, of course, by Musica. But they're going to grab up the Naga Siren there. Now, Risk, I haven't seen him play before that much, but Godot Musica I feel fairly confident in. And they're actually rated higher than Zephyr at the moment. But Zephyr, I should mention, of course, Sexy Bambo is not playing for them anymore. He has bowed out and decided to go back to Europe to join the big leagues, as he said. So Cynical will be standing in tonight because Eosin is not here either. I'm not sure what the deal with him is. But Purge has rejoined the power of friendship. Now, Brewmaster being picked up by Zephyr. I'm also expecting a Mirana pick at some point from them because it is their most picked hero. They picked it up 13 out of something like 49, 50 games. So they've been playing that a lot. So I would not be surprised if they get snagged up fairly early on. But they're going to go with the Faceless Void. So Faceless Void and Brewmaster. It's still flexible how they could lane this. We'll see where it goes with that now. But Naga Siren selected by Can't Say Which. And I'm somewhat expecting a carry Naga Siren here. She's been semi-popular, especially since the Rat Dota is sort of making a bit of a return. Alliance, of course, has been crushing in the WCA? Yeah, I think that's how it's pronounced. Yeah. They've been crushing with that the last couple of days. They've been doing some really nasty rat work with the illusion, with basically some really nasty rat work. So the illusion ratting, of course, is back in force, and we've seen Terrorblade win a couple of matches as well. His illusions push towers like nothing else. But now Whips with their second pick here. Still early in the draft. I mean, this could, of course, still just be a 4th position Naga. She can snowball or just sort of farm her way back into a core role, depending how passive Zephyr play. But they will grab the Centaur War Runner. And that's a hero that Zephyr don't actually pick it all that much. But not something they were probably going to gun for. And with the Brewmaster already picked up, I don't know if they would have gone for the Centaur as well. Especially if Faceless Void is going off lane. But we'll see where they stick that in a moment.
10 seconds remaining.
Third ban here for Whips.
5
and they're going to take
remaining.
out the Ancient Apparition. We might see some healers pop up in a moment and possibly some split pushes. We might actually see Morphling get picked up. Of course, that was a Musica hero. They might snag that up. Of course, the Ice Blast is incredibly effective in shutting down Morphling's strength gain there. But Enigma going to be banned out by Zephyr as well. I'm not going to be seeing that used. And Enigma, I feel, even with the minor nerfs, to Midnight Pulse, he is still incredibly powerful in both pushing and anti-push. The Eidolons do a ton of damage to towers. You can really, if you get an early pick-off with Enigma, you can force in towers really on. The Black Hole is quite often a really big threat, especially when you've got something like Song of the Siren to set up for it. But they are also going to ban out the Enchantress. Okay, Zeus being banned out by Zephyr. This is an interesting choice to ban out Zeus. Of course, it's Malini's signature hero and one of those throwback heroes, but Malini, Zephyr have picked it once. I'm pretty sure it's exactly once, and they lost with it. So, yeah, sure, Zeus got some buffs, he got some loves, but I don't think Zephyr were probably going to go out and run out and grab it. But I'm going to say this, if it were to be picked, I would indeed enjoy seeing it with the Brewmaster and Faceless Void, because one of the problems that Zeus has in fights is the fact he's very squishy and easy to focus down. Faceless Void and Brewmaster can CC opponents really hard, cause complete and utter chaos, and basically provide covering fire for Zeus to make sure he can get his, well, basically sit there and just spam out the DPS, make sure he can get in and get into a reasonable distance too, because it's not just knocking out the spells, he wants to be in a good range of a lot of heroes with his passive, because that is really what keeps the damage rolling in the late game. That static aura is really, really nice, that static field. So they really, if you were going to pick it, that would be, I feel, a good couple of heroes to pick it with. But Zephyr are going to grab up Witch Doctor again. I was expecting the bottom pick. They've decided to go with it. They still could. I mean, looking for a second support hero. Mirana does well in the 4 role, and she combos nicely with Faceless Void as well as Brewmaster, because you can set up her arrows really easily with that. But Kansei Whips are going to snag up the Dragon Knight as well. I'm feeling this could be a solo mid Dragon Knight at this point in time. And he does okay against the Brewmaster. If it is going to be a solo mid Brewmaster, Dragon Knight can deal with that fairly effectively. He can, even if he gets spammed out by an early Drunken Haze, it's okay because he can just use Breathe Fire on the bottle to help his, make sure he stays on top of the CS. So he does fairly well there. And even with the Drunken Brawler can actually dish out a lot of damage. With the buff, so it auto crits, Brewmaster can land some pretty nasty hits on him. So if you get like a level 2 clap off and then a crit into him, it's pretty damn painful. But Ogre Magi, so probably won't be seeing a Mirana here. Oh, well, I say this, but she could be. It could be something like what Empire do. Empire like to run a lot of core Mirana. It could be a core Mirana. Again, lots of stuns, good setups. Faceless Void can offlane very easily. Brewmaster solo mid, so that could come out there. But we haven't seen any of their top 5 picks, really, from Zephyr. They pick their top 5 are Mirana, Wraith King, Tree, Shadow Demon, and Sand King, and they've opted to go with none of them at this point in time.
10 seconds remaining.
We'll see what they're thinking. Ogre Magi, of course, has been getting picked up more and more recently. Remaining. He's an interesting hero. He's kind of hard to beat in a 1v1, but I doubt we'll ever see him in that role because his scaling isn't that good, even with the early buffs to his low-level multicasts. So I don't think we'll be seeing that role, but he's actually pretty hard to tackle in 1v1 because Ignite actually does a lot of damage. It's actually quite frustrating to play against. And on top of that, his regen is absurdly high. It's like 3.4 or something. It's absolutely insanely high. It's almost as bad as Nick. It's actually, I think it's even better than Nick's Assassin. It is really quite hard to harass him at the lane. It's like he gets a free level of Dragon's Blood almost.
Reserve time.
But I'm expecting him to be played in the support role here. But final pick here, it's going to decide. If they pick up another core, the Faceless Void is probably off lane. If it's going to be... Oh, well, I mean, this could actually be an offensive tri-lane with a Brewmaster, Witch Doctor, and Ogre Magi. Faceless Void, safe lane solo and or mid, because he could quite easily solo mid against a Dragon Knight, and then they pick another, basically, self-sufficient carry to look after itself in the safe lane. I mean, a lot of teams have been playing full-on greed lately. They've been picking stuff like Medusa. That could also be a possibility, although I think that would be a little bit too greedy, but could happen. And it synergizes nicely with the Witch Doctor, Faceless Void. Faceless Void can help set up really good stone gazes. Witch Doctor, of course, any extra heals on top of Medusa make her even harder to bring down. And also the fact that Medusa can set up for Witch Doctor's ultimate. And that's something we haven't really covered here in talking about this draft, is the Witch Doctor ultimate usually is pretty lackluster unless you have big crowd control to basically to cover for it, and Stone Gaze does that, Faceless Void's Chronosphere does that, and Brewmaster at a pinch also does that quite nicely as well. So, I mean, it could be, I kind of doubt it, it's kind of unexplored territory, but possible, but...
Reserve time.
I think it's possible, actually. They don't have that much push, like early push on whips, especially assuming Naga Siren is she doesn't really push that much early on. Dragon Knight does a bit, but Rubik's not that great at pushing. Centaur Warrunner, not that great at pushing either, so we'll see. Should mention that a lot of the damage being knocked out here for Zephyr is physical, so Rubik's not going to be as useful in this case, and it will be a Bristleback. Okay, I'm thinking Bristleback offlane, Witch Doctor, Ogre Magi, maybe floating roaming, or it could be, wow, this is pretty flexible. I mean, they could be aggressive offlaning with them. With the Bristleback, Faceless Void, safe lane solo. And then Brewmaster mid. I feel like they might try and put on the early pressure. We might see an aggressive movement from him there. Even if it's not a full-on aggressive trialing with the Bristleback, I think we're just going to see a lot of roaming early on from Witch Doctor and Ogre. But the final pick here, it will be Queen of Pain. This is something I've seen Musica play quite a bit. He'll be picking that up there. But let's switch over. And we'll see who picks what in a second. Godot grabbing up the Naga Siren, so she's likely to be in a supportive role here. And especially with a support Naga, Zephyr don't really need to worry that much about the early push against them. So they're going to have they should have plenty of time to get the farm up on Faceless Void and or Bristleback. Especially since Dragon Knight's pretty much the only significant push there until Naga Siren gets up to speed. But she's going to be in a 4-roll most likely here, so she's going to be quite a while on that.
5 seconds remaining.
Just call out the lineup now. We'll see who's playing what. So on the Radiant side, for Can't Say Whips, we've got Godot playing the Naga Siren, Risk playing Rubik, 2D on the Centaur War Runner, K Phoenix on the Dragon Knight, and X Musica running Queen of Pain. And for the Dire side, Zephyr looking to break a rather long drought here. We have Stand-In Cynical on the Witch Doctor, Blitz playing the Brewmaster, most likely solo mid at this point in time, Corey on the Faceless Void, Purge playing Ogre Magi, and Malini playing the Bristleback. And that, to me, looks like it's going to be seeing some aggressive tri-laning from them in the bottom lane. And probably going to start as tri and then maybe branch out a bit and just to ganking and suppressing mid, because if you can slow Dragon Knight down, make sure he doesn't get an early Blink Dagger or something useful, it can really just basically put him on the back foot quite heavily. It makes it very hard for Whips to really put the pressure on. It just buys a lot of space for Void to get farmed, but they could, of course, just go full defensive, full greedy, and just leave poor old Bristleback to his own devices in the offlane. But I feel like these illusions, I feel like they do want to punish these things, though. Well, we'll see. But it's probably going to be a safe lane Dragon Knight at this point in time, because I would be quite surprised if Musica is not mid. Especially since he can deal out a lot of harassment against the Brewmaster as well. I should also mention that currently sitting in the league, Zephyr are 0-4. So this is a must-win game for them. They really need to put this one on the board. If they don't, they're pretty much locked out of any chance of making it through to the next round. On the other hand, Can't Say Whips are sitting on 0-2, so it's not as much pressure for them, but this, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. This is an easy beat game for them, essentially. And these kinds of games, you really want to get locked down and put away in the bag, because when you mess them up, just look at Liquid at TI4. It came back to bite them. They lost some easy games. They really should have won. They really nailed the ones nobody expected them to win. Don't get me wrong, but those games that they didn't put in the bag, I'm pretty sure they lost against Arrow. Just came back to haunt them, unfortunately. And it looks like Cynical and Purge will be heading to the bot lane to back up Malini. A Radiant counter ward being tossed down here. Just looking for any kind of vision being thrown down by the Dire side. We might have an engagement here. It will be Void. Corey taking the solo top as well. And Malini, he's trying to bait this. I think Whips there. CSW, they're worried about this. Malini now going to take the slow. They're in some trouble here. Needs some backup. Gets lifted by Rubik. The casket comes out. Only going to bounce. No, twice. 3 times now. Stun comes out. There's the Fire Blast. Go right into trouble. He's quite tanky though. Naga Siren is very difficult to get rid of. Malini still falling low. Still slowed. Has tangoed up. Trying to back off now. Will manage to get away and salve up. And nobody really gets anything out of that. Centaur War on it finds the Bounty Rune. Picks up some shekels there. We'll be taking that solo offlane up against the Void. We'll see who can get the upper hand on that. He's got some decent burst damage there, but he's probably not going to manage to kill the Void. He's just going to try and harass him down and make it difficult for him to farm. And once he gets level 5 or so, if he just lands a couple of good combos, he really can actually make it very difficult for Void to stay there without some support. But a double damage there picked up by Cynical. They might be able to make something happen here, and they weren't spotted by any Radiant wards just yet. I'm pretty sure Rubik, he was carrying another one. I've lost track of it. He's blocked that camp anyway. They might have actually... Oh no, there it is. Yeah, he wasn't picked up. He wasn't spotted picking this up, but they will not manage to make anything happen just yet, as Zephyr aren't able to find the angle that they want against Whips. See, Dragon Knight though has... Wow, that is a very, very greedy bottle. 2 pulled tangos and that's it. But he's got the bottle out now at the 1 minute mark. Should be able to definitely pick that up at the 2 minutes. It's a question of whether or not Blitz can get his out. He's almost, yes, he should be able to get that out before the 2 minute, if barely, I think. But meanwhile, some harassment up in the top lane on Corey. Corey 4 for 2 at the moment, holding neck and neck with Centaur. But you see with the double edge, spamming that out on him, it's quite irritating the amount of damage it does. And of course, Centaur, if he's going for the early Tranquils, he's going to regen that health fairly easily. And it's going to just slow Void down quite considerably. Now Blitz, he is doing much better than Dragon Knight in this mid lane at the moment. He's sitting on 8-0 up against Dragon Knight's unfortunate 4-1. But here comes the ball coming out for Blitz. Phoenix is going to go top, try and pick up a room. Meanwhile, Purge is going to camp the bottom one. I heard and the slow come out. It's on Malini. as the stun comes out on Godot. There's a Fire Blast. Going to try and jump on top of that Invisibility Rune. Will snag it up as Phoenix grabs the Bounty Rune there instead. So it looks like... Oh, wait a minute. No, never mind. That's a dire counter ward there. So it looks like Malini now possibly in some trouble. It's Slow going to... the snare going to get tossed out there on Malini. Still going to pop those quills. Slowed once again. Some damage being done there. Throws out the stun on Godot. Toss forward there. As it looks like the casting going to come out. Musica though bouncing on top of them. Blinks forward. Going to try and take out Malini. Gets brought down by the quills. Way too many quills as well. As Rubik falling as well and then dies to... Oh no, gets the tick there. Unfortunately, the creeps get involved there and beat him down, and Malini will unfortunately fall to the Queen of Pain, but a double kill being picked up there, and I think worth it. And in the end, he goes back and he'll teleport pretty much straight away, so he'll get back out in this lane in a timely fashion. Cynical now in some trouble. No, gets turned on there. Turned on Godot actually. Godot now taking cool damage. It's stacking up. Can they get a third? We've got a third one on top of him. He'll need the toss there from Rubik. Rubik, no. Telekinesis is already expended. He might just try and run him down here. No, gets blocked by Creep. Decides not to push forward any further, and we'll back down here. Meanwhile, though, in the mid lane, it looks like Blitz is still edging out Phoenix in terms of CS there. Still exchanging those hits. Courier just coming to drop off the boots there, as it looks like. Then, again, Telekinesis there on Malini. Slowed once again. Malini is definitely helping shut down. This is not really what I expected. I was kind of expecting Musica to take the mid lane, but you know what? This off lane, he is harassing away here. He's unfortunately, I think they just got a little bit too greedy. Really didn't respect the quill stacks. The amount of damage that they were dishing out. See Corey though on the top lane, still being out CS'd at the moment by the Centaur Warrunner. Life is difficult. The game is hard. I mean, it's just mostly the burst damage potential here. Since Centaur has picked up the early regen, Corey has at least gone for it. Well, he's gone for an Oov, as well as a poor man's shield. But Tranquil's done for Tootie. Tootie is going to be very difficult to harass the lane. There's the harassment. It's just spamming the mana damage, magical damage on top of him. As we said, Bounty Rune picked up bottom. And a double damage rune. No, double damage rune picked up bottom, and the Bounty Rune picked up top. And now it looks like Phoenix is in some trouble here. We've got another clap coming up in 2 seconds. Phoenix is dead. There's no way he's getting away from this. Level 3 clap. He's brought down. No need for Drunken Haze there. He's just gone for 2 in the Brawler and 3 in the clap. Zephyr off to a good start here. We'll just bring up small advantage there. Nothing major just yet. Looks like a possible engagement here now. All the Musica into trouble. Quills. One more Quill should probably bring it down. There we go. Gets a kill. Musica's down again. Malini. Smacking faces, taking names. And it looks like he might pick up his own Tranquils in a... No, if he was going to get Tranquils, he would have picked it up by now. He's possibly just trying to pick up some magical damage reduction, I'm guessing? Let's see where he goes with that Ring of Regen. Oh, no, wait. That's going to turn into a Soul Ring, probably, and then he'll use that for the Crimson Guard later. He's just picking that up now because they do need the regen with the harassment coming out in this lane. He is 13 for 3. Unfortunately, they've got a couple of kills at the very least, but unfortunately they haven't really managed to shut down Queen of Pain's farm that badly. She is 18 for 6. Considering it's a trial versus trial situation and supports have barely been leaving the lane, they haven't rotated mid at all. She's doing pretty good for farm. But right now, the Radiant side support's being forced back along with the Dire actually. Everybody's falling back to heal. They've run out of regen, decided let's just go back, heal, then teleport back to our lanes. Or possibly they might go for ganks at this point in time. I'm just looking for smokes. Smoke is on Zephyr. They could go for a smoke. Rubik also deciding he wants a smoke up as well. Now Musica being left to solo against Purge. Actually, it was Malini who went back. My mistake, not Purge. Wasn't paying attention there. Faces Void. We'll see what item he goes for first. Been forced into some early fighting items because he's really not handling the Centaur Warrunner too well at all. It's causing issues, but now Centaur Warrunner's leaving. This is creating some space. He's getting spotted up by this ward though. Double edge. There's the stun as well. And he will get brought down. Phoenix just drops a Dragon Talon Blitz to cover his retreat. And he'll head straight back to the mid lane as well with a regeneration rune for his troubles. Bounty Rune was picked up bottom. In fact, bottled up bottom. They're going for the double bottles here. I like this now. In the current 6.82, double bottles I feel is really effective. Just making sure you get that map control. The rune control is really, really good. And there is no... Wow. A walking courier at 6.5 minutes. Didn't think I'd see that. Alright then. Looks like Whips... Their supports are seriously struggling here. And Naga Siren has even opted to go straight into a poor man's shield. Rubik... has bought up the smoke, so he can't afford the courier upgrade there. Merlini being forced back. He's still only level 3 here. Of course, that trip back to the fountain has unfortunately slowed him down quite a bit, but he picked up a bottle at the very least, and they should be able to catch up later, especially if they decide to go for some stacks, which is happening there. The Dire side are grabbing their stacks, but they've broken up the tri lane now. They said, okay, we've got to make sure Corey gets in. We've got to make sure Corey gets into this game. Got to get him some farm here. Binks is using the opportunity mid. The Brewmaster has disappeared to do some jungling. Okay. Alright then, some jungling, so he's using that opportunity to chip away at the mid. Tier 1 has dropped in about 300, 500 damage into that. That's what they need to do. As the lift there on Merlini gets pulled back, nuked heavily there. He will get dropped here. Fire Blast comes out on Godot, but it's not enough. 3v2, not fair odds there, especially since they are pretty underleveled. They don't have the spell levels that they need to deal with this. But we see the spam still being tossed out there on top of Corey, still struggling somewhat, especially since he's been abandoned again. I was saying that they were going to keep him support up there, but it looks like Cynical did indeed TP to the mid to help deal with the Dragon Nut push there.
Too bad.
It looks like a gank on bottom. We've got another Panda. We've got Panda boarding in bottom. It looks like Blitz is going to try and turn things around here. Musica now getting slowed up a little bit. Blinks away. Second Snot. No, it's gone down to 1. 1 Snot on him. He's not spotted though. Blitz hasn't had his rotation spotted. The Rune also not spotted, which is not... he's just giving some bottle charges to Cynical. He'll take this rune in a second, and they'll try and set up a kill here. As it looks like they're worried about the rotation. I think they've figured out there was possibly a rotation mid, just guessing by the fact that these heroes have disappeared. But they don't know there's an invisible Panda now. This is an issue. With a blink as well. Yeah, they're just going to scout out. They're playing defensive. The Musica might get jumped off. He gets hit by the Fire Blast. He's trouble there. It's a blink, the clap. The Fire Blast and Godot. They're going to try and bring him down. Of course, no song for a level 3 Naga. And she gets burst down super easy. Way behind the levels there. Musica now just retreating. It looks like they might just turn on top of Risk. Risk, though, cowering in the corner. Will try and hide it, and he's been spotted. Rubik is in some trouble. Once he comes out, there's a clap. Lifts to cut the tree, so he might get away here. Blinks forward once again. There's a crit as well. The snare on top of Blitz. Blitz now should be okay unless Dragon Tail gets him. He's out of range, though, and he doesn't have the speed to catch him. Oh, no, he turns. He stops there. Now the Stampede there. They should be able to run him down here. Stomp going to come in here. There's the Centaur Stomp. Breathe Fire as well. Double Edge, but Fire Blast comes in. Return kill incoming. Or will they? Snare comes out there. Going to slow down Merlini. Merlini gets burst down by another screen. Do we have another stun from Purge? No, Purge is out of mana. Stick charges in 5 seconds. Dragon Tailed, forced to back off here, but he will get brought down. He's got enough for a Fire Blast. Throws on Musica, but not enough to bring him down. No DOTs on Musica, and Musica will get away here, but space created, at least. Very least. For poor old Corey up top, but this is a pretty good swing here in favour of Whips, a 1.1k swing from them, most importantly an experience swing, and this is probably what we haven't really covered. Tri-lane versus tri-lane, experience is a big deal. Heroes end up massively under-farmed and under-leveled. Under-leveled is a key issue here as we see a clap here on Phoenix. Phoenix should be able to walk away from this, so no big deal. But the under-leveling is a huge deal, so when you win one big early fight list, the experience gain for your supports is massive. Godot now, he died in that fight level 3, he came back, and now he's almost level 6. That is huge. That is really big for him. Risk, not quite as good, but he gained a level off it at the very least.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Well, Purge was given a solo lane for a while, so he's almost level 6 himself. And Witch Doctor also. But you see here, Witch Doctor, who disappeared to solo pull and actually solo lane for himself, is behind the Naga Sirens. That's the deal in experience game. So Naga Siren has jumped ahead of him, ahead of the hero who had a partial solo lane. And she's almost got her ult. Once they get that, at the very least they can slow the fights down. No mirror image yet. She's just going to focus on her snare and her Riptide. Just to get the damage out. But we'll see what they can set up here. Once she gets the setup, though, that's really going to be quite a pain for Zephyr to deal with, because they've got the good initiation, but they can't really jump in under the threat of Slong. Because, unfortunately, Corey can't exactly... His blink isn't instantaneous, so they've got time for the song to get popped, is the main thing. So there's a good chance, or even if he jumps in, as long as Naga Siren is hanging back, she can reset the fight, essentially. So it's really hard for Zephyr to make use of their good initiation. It really just opens up the field for Whips to basically counter-initiate and reset the fight and create a scenario where basically they can dictate and win.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
We see Merlini now. Oh.
Dire's structures are fortified.
That's awkward because he didn't spend his unreliable gold. Oh dear. Merlini, what are you doing? Go home, you're drunk. Awkward. Alright. We see Witch Doctor hanging the wings here. Of course, we do have to remember that they do have some serious teamfight potential here, but they've got to catch the Naga Siren. in that chrono, because if they don't, they really can't pop off all their good spells, because they really, if anything, they want to land a big chrono. Oh, Stampede comes out there. It looks like we're going to jump on top of Ogre. Ogre gets brought down. Purge, lights out for him. Song gets popped to cover the retreat. It looks like there was a slow. Yes, Ignite, Toss, and Queen of Pain, but the retreat will be secured. Or will it? Corey's here. He's got the leap. They could try and set this up. Musica may need to TP rapidly out of here. Blinks and TPs for good measure, and they will get away here. And in fact, Zephyr decided, alright, not going to happen. And space created here for Phoenix. And his Dragon Knight, he will bring down the tier 1 mid. Of course, we should actually have a look at the gold graph at the moment. Experience graph slightly favouring Whips. Gold graph now just in favour of Whips. It's only been a 15k swing. Oh, sorry, not 15k, a 1.5k swing. But it looks like Zephyr are going to attempt to respond with a tier 1 bottom. And that will make life hard to farm down there indeed. Especially with no vision of this area. It'll be very hard to spot rotations coming in. Anybody could be lurking here, ready to blink, ready to time walk in, and just chrono up and kill you. Dragon Knight looks like he's going to open up here with drums. That's a nice little me item for him. It's not really for the team, he just wants the stats. It's the kind of thing Dragon Knight needs. He wants some health so he can tank a bit of damage. Mostly wants the mana. The mana is a big deal for him. And the movement speed and attack speed aura is always nice because Dragon Knight can struggle with staying on target sometimes until he gets level 16, of course. Once he's got the Frost Breath, that's another deal entirely. But otherwise, chasing people down can be a little difficult. They do have the Centaur ult though, so there is that. Brewmaster though, we'll have a look at the item progression here, see if anything interesting is coming up. Nothing really. Port up top though. Blink forward. Stomp on Zephyr. Looks like Blitz is in control. Dragon Tail follow up as well with the double edge, and that will be enough to nuke him down. A late TP in there. Oh no, maybe he's not going to cancel. They've got Song. No, Song's on cooldown. Net gets thrown out. Corey can turn though. They're going to split. Nice smooth movement there. They're not going to get caught out by a big Chronosphere. And now Phoenix may have actually overstayed his welcome. May need to back up. Got to be careful. Dragon Tail comes out. They're making a play on Melina.